I was the cloth diapering, breastfeeding mom, made my own baby food, I delayed vaccinations. I was that kind of crazy mom on some level that I was very naturally minded. And the thought of chemotherapy in general, never mind chemotherapy with my child, was always the struggle for me. I'd seen other friends and family go through it, and it just didn't make sense to me naturally. So then when Kai was diagnosed, and I knew that was, what was going to be the treatment, it was a huge struggle for me to accept that. I think at diagnosis, it was a weird time for me. Like, he had been struggling for 8 months, and I knew something was wrong for 8 months, but we went through food allergies and colic and reflux and all the typical baby things that you can read in those books, in the mom baby books and the parenting books. And it was bigger than that. And I knew it was bigger than that. Never in a million years did brain tumor cross my mind. So when we first had to, right at diagnosis, he had hydrocephalus, so there was fluid building on his brain, and he had to have a shunt put in right away. So we went from colic, talking to doctors about colic and reflux and food allergies, to we have to sedate your baby and go into his brain and put a shunt in. And that's such a huge leap from what you think you're going to have to do as a parent. And then on top of that, the long-term plan was he'll be on chemo for most of his life. It was very hard for me to accept that. It took weeks for me to accept that. I delayed going as long as I could, which was 5 weeks, not that long. But my biggest fear was that we were going to get caught into this medical machine and I was going to lose control of decisions for him. And that at that point, at diagnosis, I couldn't trust that the treatment and the recommendations was really going to help him. I didn't trust that at that time.
And then over the course of his treatment and illness, did you come to trust that?
I trusted that they were presenting me with the best that they had the option of, the doctors. I trusted that they were giving me all they had. It still was an everyday struggle that pumping him full of chemotherapy was ultimately going to help him.
Did you feel like you had agency as his mother? Did you feel like ultimately you were in control of what was happening with his treatment?
Most of the time, yes. Yeah. I think I was very vocal and educated myself a lot about all the different facets of this. And I went in day one very strong that his quality of life was the most important thing to me. And the medical community doesn't always have that. Quality isn't always the first priority because they're in the business of saving lives, and that's their priority. And while I'm so thankful for that, I was very fearful going in that would trump quality, and that was not okay with me. So I made that very clear from the get-go, and I think they did listen and respect that. But I was pretty adamant about it. When I saw very little changes that other people didn't see because they saw him once a week and I saw him every day, I really pushed for those things, and I really made sure that they knew that this was unacceptable to me. And the struggle came with, are these changes from treatment or tumor or just life? And so we had that debate a lot. But they always listened. They were always open to, even if they didn't see it, they knew that if I said something that mattered, that counted.